What screams, "I am very smart"? Jimmy Neutron when nobody is around. Jimmy Neutron is a domestic terrorist, but you're all not ready to have that conversation. I tutor middle and high schoolers, so my answer is them. I also tutor kids aged 5 to 18, and I absolutely agree. Some kids are just too dumb to realize they're not the smartest person alive. Unironically, being able to learn skills independently and apply them to whatever task you need to perform. Ironically, normally I'd say overconfidence or one-upping, but I've seen this in really smart people too. But any hint of pride about one's own ignorance is a solid indicator. And apply them to whatever task you need to perform. That is usually what really impresses me. I have a lot of interesting but ultimately useless knowledge. It's all well and good to know things, but to know how to use that knowledge to do something is fantastic. When they brag about their IQ, most smart people I know don't really care. My brother-in-law took the Myers-Briggs personality test and kept bragging that he had the top 1% personality. The test does not rank personalities. It probably said that only 1% of people that have that same personality, which is a good thing. I definitely do not want a personality as bad as his to be more common. Listening instead of trying to talk all the time. See, now I can't tell if OP is asking what ironically or actually screams. I'm very smart. The responses are a bit mismatch of both. Not accepting when you're wrong or don't know something. A truly smart person will accept when they're wrong if they need help understanding something. Source: I'm an idiot surrounded by smart people. One thing that really bums me up is when people call you an idiot for being wrong. Rub your nose in it. I think that's why many hesitate to admit fault, for fear of the backlash it will cause. Me, when someone doubts my smartness. Let me just take the time to cognitively recognize your intelligence. Assless chaps. Chaps are assless. The other things are called pants. Using your IQ as an argument to validate your point. Just recently I saw an argument on Twitter and the one person was like, "I have an IQ of 130. That's in the top 2% of humanity. It's pretty clear who is right here." Gosh, I hate those people. Yeah, you can totally be smart than someone else and still be wrong. Source: experience. People who needlessly use complex vocabulary to describe simple things. For example, when using sodium chloride instead of salt. Oh geez, I've been guilty of using a big word when a little one will do, a bit of the old grandiloquence. But if someone says sodium chloride when they mean salt and they aren't making a joke, I'm just going to have to walk out of the room because nothing worthwhile is going to happen in a room that has that person in it. Neil deGrasse Tyson pushed off a bridge. He'll probably mention that it's not falling that kills you, but at the sudden stop on the floor. Interrupting the lecture to ask a question that is really intended to demonstrate to everyone how much you already know about the subject. Excuse me, Professor, but if you were saying it's true, wouldn't there be an evolutionary driving force to maintain PX genes across different clades in spite of how divergent their morphology appears? This happens a lot at academic type conferences. Actually smart? Nothing screams that. Thinking of the 3 smartest people I know, my wife, my best friend, and another really close friend, former roommate, they keep things really low-key, but they have this aura that they really know what they're talking about. But being smart also doesn't define them. They're comfortable with that part of themselves. Negatively, people who try way too hard to act like they know everything. It's okay, no one knows everything. You don't have to be an authority on the 100-year war and leptons. Just pulling those out of thin air. Learning stuff is cool. Also, anything you know is dumb and irrelevant, so they are authority on everything that matters. The smartest of the people that I know have the following traits. Actually think before speaking, doesn't mind explaining anything multiple times, shy away when someone comments on his or her intelligence. They are humble and always recognize their mistakes. There are probably more, but that's what I can point out now. I know a smart person. He's the only one I can think of at the moment. He doesn't really care. He gardens, he cooks, he does his thing, and he doesn't constantly talk about other people. He's super interesting, and if you talk to him about his interests, and you can actually have a conversation with him. Just a normal quiet guy who no one would pay attention to. I miss having him around since he moved to another state. Haven't really found another smart person since. I like people like that. Just chill and do your own thing, free of judgment. Solving Rubik's Cubes. I learned to do it in a day and I'm an idiot. It's just memorizing patterns and when to do them. Movies make you believe that people who solve Rubik's Cubes are some kind of intellectual prodigy, but it's just building up the muscle memory. Sure, if you learn someone else's procedure by rote, developing an algorithm from scratch. However, it's no small feat and requires either a formidable ability to store and manipulate interlinked information or commendable patience. Khaki pants and a bowl cut. I dated that guy for a minute. He got some kind of engineering degree when he was like 19, managed to retire at 40, became an RN, then took a $15 hour job he didn't need, where he constantly told everyone about his degrees and drove an $80,000 BMW. He was like a very confused robot. The terrible science jokes I see on my Facebook wall that are only funny because people want to show off the fact that they have an interest in science. This is not me bashing science or having an interest in it, but the jokes seriously are awful. I'm in grad school and people send me jokes in my field all the time. They think they're so funny. I can appreciate their thinking of me, but I can't even pretend to be amused. Does my cousin count? He loves to scream. We all have that one cousin. Buying food based on price per weight rather than the size of the packaging and assuming that bigger comes with better value. In European supermarkets, they have to list the price per kilogram as well, so it isn't really that hard to pick the cheapest. When they say it's Leviosa, not Leviosa, I can't think of any multisyllabic Latin words off the top of my head that stress the final syllable. Under the rules of the English pronunciation of Latin, you should stress the penultimate or the anti-penultimate, depending on whether the penultimate is long or short. Hermione was right. Getting 3 questions right on regular Jeopardy. This is the kind of knowledge I have. Useless bits of trivia I've picked up from books, movies, TV, anywhere really. I can remember almost every little thing I read, especially. But ask me to apply that knowledge in any sort of meaningful way, and I end up looking ridiculous and feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm dope at Jeopardy and trivia night though. Honestly, that kid in class who asks a question that's not on topic just to show off to the class how much he knows. TBH, when I was in school, I constantly used to ask my teachers unusual questions related to what we were learning because I was genuinely curious. This is just why people get bored of school, because there is no explanation of knowledge, just following the damn trail. I can't remember what it was I asked, but I remember my teacher going, "That's an A-level question." And after gritting my teeth for the 100th time, I just snapped and said, "Okay, can I have an A-level answer?" She sent me out of the room. Someone using big words incorrectly. Like today, someone said, "I can turn an introvert into a socialist." Ha! They should have said syndicalist. Yes, I did use a thesaurus. I guess I'm smart now also. Initially, I was contemplating offering a retort to this posting. However, I pondered the original content creator will be intellectually unable to comprehend the wittiness of my intellectual dialect. In short, you are pedantic and sophomoric. I do find this quite useful for irritating those that have done the clear lack of mental capacity to easily comprehend the particularly obnoxious intellectual tone of the writing, usually demonstrates by them through the uttering of an offensive or ignoratic series of phrases. Yeah, I do see it now. Can I say watching Rick or Morty, or is that meme dead now? Ah yes, Richard and Mortimer, a show in which you require approximately 200 IQ to properly enjoy. Mensa membership. Love in Stargate Atlantis when a character bragged about being in Mensa, then all the scientist characters proceeded to mock him for it. Frequent unsolicited advice or corrections to conversations. I see this a lot. I have adopted the approach to conversations where I understand what you meant. I won't push it. Spelling errors, maybe an incorrect but irrelevant term. Those don't matter if they're communicating an idea. I find it frustrating how modern discourse is so riddled with nitpicky pedantry. Keeping your mouth shut when you don't know the answer. Not necessarily. If I don't know something but I want to, asking friendly isn't a bad thing. The kid who asked the teacher if they're going to collect last night's homework. Hey, I didn't do that homework for nothing. Oh, trust me? Me too, but I let them wait an extra day because it's better than suffering at the hands of my peers. If you mean this seriously, then I would say people who have a wide variety of skills and hobbies. When you take up an activity, your brain becomes wired to that kind of thinking, and you can apply that thinking to any situation. By having multiple activities, you can think differently and are able to learn faster. I believe it's called neuroplasticity. If you mean like a joke, then I would say anyone who mentions their IQ, it's a stupid way to measure capability. For example, I have an IQ of 140, which is above average, but I'm a complete klutz and I mess up constantly. Yep, took an IQ test for work once. It came out high, but I'm a moron. So, not much faith in that stuff, lol.